Let me guess, drug money bought this ride? Black girls like you don't earn six-figure cars, honestly. Officer Derek Mitchell's words cut through the afternoon air as he leaned against Dr. Simone Washington's BMW window. His badge caught the suburban Atlanta sunlight. Gleaming with authority, he wielded like a weapon. He deliberately dropped her license onto the wet asphalt. The plastic card landed with a sharp slap against the pavement, settling between oil stains and yesterday's rain. "Pick it up," Mitchell smirked, adjusting his body camera with theatrical precision. Slowly. Simone watched the license fall, her hands steady on the steering wheel. Traffic hummed past. A jogger slowed, phone already recording. Her Bluetooth blinked. Washington, financial crimes glowed on the dashboard display. She reached for the door handle. Mitchell's hand moved to his weapon. "Have you ever been judged by your appearance before anyone discovered your true power?" 8 minutes until Simone's Treasury Department conference call. Simone stepped from her vehicle with calculated precision. Her heels clicked against wet asphalt as she retrieved the license. Mitchell watched her every movement, his radio crackling with dispatch chatter. "Registration and proof of insurance," he demanded, blocking her path back to the driver's seat. She handed him the documents through her window. Mitchell studied them with exaggerated suspicion, his eyes narrowing at the pristine BMW paperwork. "This says the car's registered to a Simone Washington in Buckhead." He looked her up and down. "That you?" "Yes, officer, as my license confirms." "Buckhead's expensive real estate for someone your age." Mitchell's tone dripped skepticism. "What kind of work pays for toys like this?" Across the street, Maria Santos adjusted her phone's angle, capturing the interaction on Instagram Live. Her follower count climbed as viewers shared the stream. Comments flooded in. "Another DWB case," and "Record everything, sis." "I work for the federal government," Simone replied evenly. Mitchell laughed, a harsh sound that made passing drivers slow down. "Federal government? Like what? Food stamps office?" 7 minutes remaining. The insult hung in the humid Georgia air. Simone's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She reached into her blazer's inner pocket, producing a crisp white business card. Mitchell barely glanced at it before tossing it back through her window. "Anyone can print fake cards these days. Nice try, though." His radio buzzed. "Unit 47 requesting backup for suspicious vehicle stop." "Copy that, 47. Unit 23 en route." Simone's encrypted government phone vibrated against the passenger seat. The caller ID read, "Treasury Dept. Priority." She watched it ring through to voicemail, her expression unreadable. "Expecting a call from your dealer?" Mitchell's smile was predatory. 6 minutes. The live stream audience swelled. Maria Santos whispered commentary to her viewers. "Y'all seeing this disrespect? Sister driving a clean BMW and this cop acting like she stole it." A Ring doorbell camera from the nearby subdivision captured audio from 50 feet away. Mrs. Patterson, retired teacher, pressed record on her phone from her kitchen window. 3 different angles now documented Mitchell's every word. Simone's dashboard GPS showed her destination, Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. Her appointment calendar displayed Financial Crimes Briefing, Deputy Director Chen. None of this Mitchell could see from his position. "Step out of the vehicle completely," he ordered. "Hands where I can see them." "Officer, am I under arrest?" "You're being detained pending investigation of a possible stolen vehicle." "Based on what probable cause?" Mitchell's face reddened. "Based on your attitude and the fact that this car's worth more than most people make in 2 years. 5 minutes until Treasury call. Unit 23 arrived with squealing tires. Officer James Rodriguez emerged, younger but eager to prove himself. He approached with hand resting on his weapon. "What's the situation, Derek?" "Possible stolen vehicle. Drivers being uncooperative." Mitchell gestured dismissively at Simone. "Claims she works for the government but can't prove it." Rodriguez ran the BMW's plates through his mobile terminal. His eyebrows rose slightly at the clean record. But Mitchell was his senior. He stayed quiet. Simone observed both officers with analytical precision. Her FBI training cataloged their positions, their body language, their tactical errors. Mitchell's overconfidence, Rodriguez's hesitation, the growing crowd of witnesses. Her phone buzzed again. Another Treasury call. "You gonna answer that?" Mitchell taunted. "Or should I?" "I'm not required to answer personal calls during a traffic stop." "Traffic stop?" Mitchell laughed. "Lady, this is way past a traffic stop." 4 minutes. The Instagram live viewer count hit 12,000. Comments poured in faster than Maria could read them. Someone had identified the location, sharing it across social platforms. Highway harassment began trending in Atlanta. Mrs. Patterson's kitchen window provided a perfect vantage point. She'd taught for 37 years, seen enough injustice to recognize it instantly. Her shaking hands held the phone steady, documenting everything. "Derek," Rodriguez whispered, "maybe we should call the sergeant." "For what? Some entitled princess who thinks her fake badge means something?" But Rodriguez had noticed details Mitchell missed. The woman's posture, alert but unafraid. Her clothes, expensive but professional. Her speech patterns, educated, precise. None of it matched Mitchell's narrative. Simone's encrypted phone displayed 15 missed calls. Her absence from the Treasury briefing would trigger protocols Mitchell couldn't imagine. Federal agents didn't simply disappear without consequences. 3 minutes. "I'm going to search this vehicle," Mitchell announced, reaching for her door handle. "Officer, you lack probable cause for a search." "Your suspicious behavior is all the cause I need." Rodriguez shifted uncomfortably. His academy training whispered warnings about Fourth Amendment violations, but Mitchell was his field training officer, the man who controlled his probationary status. The live stream audience exploded past 25,000 viewers. Local news stations monitored social media for breaking stories. Assignment editors took notice. News vans would arrive within minutes. Simone remained perfectly still, her hands visible on the steering wheel. She'd learned patience in FBI surveillance operations, waiting hours for the perfect moment to act. That moment wasn't here yet. But it was coming. 2 minutes until Treasury call. Mitchell opened her glove compartment without permission. Inside, vehicle registration, insurance papers, and a federal courthouse parking pass. He dismissed the pass as another fake prop. "What's this supposed to be? FBI parking?" He waved it mockingly. Rodriguez leaned closer, studying markings he didn't recognize. Federal seals, security features, authentication codes. His stomach began to sink. Simone's phone rang one final time. "Treasury Department, priority level 1. She looked directly at Mitchell, her voice steady as granite. "Officer, you have exactly 60 seconds to step away from my vehicle." 5 minutes until Treasury call. Sergeant Maria Rodriguez arrived as the third police vehicle, her experience immediately reading the scene's dangerous trajectory. 22 years on the force had taught her to recognize brewing disasters. "What's the situation here?" she asked Mitchell, but her eyes studied the growing crowd of phone-wielding witnesses. "Suspected stolen vehicle, Sarge. Driver's got attitude and fake federal IDs. Rodriguez examined Simone through the BMW's window. The woman sat with military posture, hands visible, breathing controlled. Not the behavior of someone hiding criminal activity. The Instagram live stream now reached 47,000 viewers. Maria Santos provided breathless commentary. 3 cops now, y'all. Sister still calm as ice, but they're escalating hard. 4 minutes. News Channel 11's helicopter pilot reported unusual police activity on Highway 400. Assignment editors dispatched ground crews. The story was going viral faster than anyone could contain it. Sergeant Rodriguez checked her mobile terminal. The BMW's registration showed 0 violations, 0 warrants, 0 flags. The owner's name matched the license. Dr. Simone Washington, aged 34, Buckhead address.
Mitchell, the plates are clean, she said quietly. Plates can be swapped, Sarge. Look at this car, look at her. Something doesn't add up.
But Rodriguez noticed what Mitchell's bias blinded him to. The woman's briefcase bore federal agency markings. Her dashboard displayed government-issued GPS. Her phone kept receiving calls from numbers with DC area codes. 3 minutes until Treasury call. "Ma'am, I'm Sergeant Rodriguez. Can you step out so we can resolve this quickly?" Simone complied, moving with fluid precision. Her blazer bore subtle creases from a shoulder holster. Rodriguez's trained eye caught the detail instantly. "Are you carrying a weapon, ma'am?" "I have a federal carry permit." Mitchell scoffed. "More fake documents. How many phony IDs you got in there?" Young Officer James Chen had arrived as backup, fresh from the academy. He recorded everything on his body camera, following protocol his instructors had drilled into him. Something about this stop felt wrong. The live stream audience exploded past 75,000. Highway harassment dominated Atlanta's trending topics. Local NAACP chapter president saw the stream, immediately calling the police department's internal affairs division. 2 minutes. Simone's encrypted phone buzzed with increasing urgency. Treasury Department, FBI Atlanta Field Office, Deputy Director Chen. Each missed call triggered automated protocols within federal systems. "That phone's been ringing non-stop," Rodriguez observed. "Important calls?" "Work-related." Mitchell grabbed the phone before Simone could react. The screen displayed, "Treasury Deputy, Priority, Classified." For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. "Anyone can program fake contact names," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Rodriguez studied the phone's features. Military-grade encryption, federal security protocols, biometric locks, equipment worth more than most officers' annual salaries. 1 minute until Treasury call. The news van arrived with Channel 11's investigative team. Reporter Janet Mills recognized the viral nature immediately. Camera operator positioned for optimal angles. The story was becoming statewide news. "Sarge, maybe we should—" Officer Chen began. "Should what?" Mitchell snapped. "Let some drug dealer walk because she's got fancy props?" But the crowd had grown. Witnesses documented from every angle. Social media posts tagged local politicians, civil rights organizations, federal representatives. The pressure was building exponentially. Simone watched Mitchell's growing desperation with analytical detachment. Her FBI training in behavioral analysis cataloged his tells: defensive posturing, raised voice, increasingly irrational justifications. A man cornered by his own prejudices. 3 teenagers on bikes stopped to film. A school bus driver pulled over, concerned about the commotion. Mrs. Patterson from the subdivision walked to her mailbox, phone recording. The scene was becoming a circus. Treasury call begins. Her phone rang one final time. Automated voice. "Federal priority call. Dr. Washington required for Treasury briefing in 60 seconds. The message played through the phone's external speaker. Mitchell's face went pale. Rodriguez felt her stomach drop. Federal priority calls meant one thing. This woman was exactly who she claimed to be.
"Derek,"
she whispered urgently,
"we need to end this now."
But Mitchell had passed the point of rational retreat. His career, his reputation, his authority, all balanced on proving this woman was lying. Backing down meant admitting error in front of thousands of witnesses. "I don't care what her phone says, I'm searching this vehicle." Post-Treasury call timeline begins. Simone's absence from the federal briefing triggered automatic protocols. FBI duty officer flagged her GPS location. Field office dispatch noted her last known position. Federal Protective Services began monitoring. Within the Treasury Department, Deputy Director Chen's assistant reported Dr. Washington's unexplained absence. Security protocols activated. The FBI's Civil Rights Division received notification of a potential federal agent detention. The live stream reached 125,000 viewers. National civil rights organizations began sharing the feed. Congressional staffers took notice. Federal oversight mechanisms engaged. Officer Rodriguez's radio crackled. All units, Internal Affairs requesting status on Highway 400 incident. Respond immediately. Copy, dispatch. Scene is under control. Rodriguez lied, knowing nothing was under control. Critical moment approaches. Mitchell approached Simone's vehicle with search authorization he didn't legally possess. Rodriguez faced a career-defining choice: support her officer or prevent a federal incident. Derek, stop. Look at her credentials again. I've seen enough fake IDs to know the real thing. But Rodriguez examined Simone's business card more carefully. Federal agency seal-matched database images. Security features appeared authentic. Contact information led to verified government numbers. Officer Chen's body camera captured every detail. Academy training screamed warnings about Fourth Amendment violations, federal jurisdiction, civil rights law. His finger hovered over his radio's emergency button. Traffic had completely stopped on both sides of Highway 400. Commuters abandoned their cars to film. The scene looked like a major crime investigation rather than a routine traffic stop. A second news helicopter appeared overhead. Channel 5 and Fox 5 competed for aerial footage. The story was spreading beyond Atlanta, picked up by national networks monitoring social media feeds. The point of no return. Simone stood beside her BMW, surrounded by 3 officers, filmed by dozens of witnesses, watched by hundreds of thousands online. Her Treasury Department meeting had started without her. Federal protocols were engaging. Her supervisor's emergency phone was ringing. The quiet power she'd maintained for 15 minutes was about to transform into something Mitchell couldn't comprehend. "Ma'am, I need you to place your hands on the vehicle," Mitchell ordered, his authority cracking under the weight of growing doubt. Rodriguez stepped forward. "Derek, we should call this in first." "Call what in? A routine vehicle search?" But nothing about this situation remained routine. Federal agencies were tracking one of their agents. National media was watching. Civil rights lawyers were taking notes. The dominoes were already falling. She reached slowly into her blazer's inner pocket. Rodriguez tensed, recognizing the movement's significance. Mitchell's hand moved to his weapon, still believing he controlled the situation. The crowd held its breath. Cameras focused. The live-stream audience peaked. Dr. Simone Washington, Special Agent, FBI Financial Crimes Division, was about to reveal exactly who had just unlawfully detained a federal officer. "Officers," she said with deadly calm, "you're about to see credentials that will end your careers if you don't step back immediately." Her hand emerged with a black leather wallet. It opened to reveal a gold badge that caught the Georgia sunlight like a weapon. Timeline: 15 minutes since initial stop. 47 minutes until FBI field office investigates missing agent. 2 hours until federal civil rights review. 24 hours until career consequences begin. The moment of truth had arrived. The gold FBI badge gleamed in the afternoon sunlight like a declaration of war. Special Agent Dr. Simone Washington, Financial Crimes Division, watched 3 police officers freeze in perfect synchronization. Mitchell's hand stopped halfway to his weapon. Rodriguez's radio fell silent mid-transmission. Officer Chen's body camera captured the exact moment their world shifted. "Federal Bureau of Investigation," Simone announced, her voice cutting through traffic noise with surgical precision. "You have just conducted an unlawful detention of a federal agent." The Instagram Live audience erupted. Comments flooded Maria Santos's screen faster than she could read. "FBI! I knew it! Officer about to get fired!" The viewer count spiked past 200,000. Mitchell stared at the badge, his brain struggling to process the impossibility. Black women didn't carry federal law enforcement credentials. His 8 years of experience said so. His training said so. His worldview demanded it. That's not real," he stammered. Simone photographed his badge number with her encrypted phone. Click. His nameplate. Click. His patrol car license. Click. Each image automatically uploaded to federal servers with GPS coordinates and timestamps. Agent Washington, FBI ID number 47291, Financial Crimes Division. She spoke clearly for the dozens of recording devices. Officer Mitchell, badge 1447, you are currently violating Federal Statute 18 U.S.C. 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Rodriguez's 22 years of experience screamed warnings. Federal agents didn't bluff about statute numbers. They didn't memorize legal codes unless they'd arrested people under them. The silent, crushing action begins. Simone speed-dialed a number saved as FBI IA, Internal Affairs. The call connected on the first ring. Special Agent Washington, Financial Crimes. I need to report unlawful detention of a federal officer by local law enforcement. GPS coordinates transmitted. Multiple witnesses recording. Request immediate supervisor response. She put the call on speaker. Copy, Agent Washington. Field Office Dispatch confirms your location. Supervisory Agent Martinez en route. Estimate 12 minutes. Mitchell's face drained of color. Supervisory agents meant serious investigations. Career-ending investigations. The live stream exploded. Hashtag FBI agent trending nationwide. Hashtag police brutality climbing. Celebrity activists began sharing the feed. Congressional Twitter accounts took notice. Officer Chen adjusted his body camera angle, ensuring optimal footage. His academy instructors had drilled federal jurisdiction protocols. Local police didn't detain federal agents, ever, under any circumstances, for any reason. Traffic backed up for miles in both directions. Commuters live-streamed from their vehicles. The Georgia Department of Transportation dispatched emergency crews for traffic management. Power dynamics invert completely. Officers step away from my vehicle immediately. As Simone's tone carried federal authority that local badges couldn't challenge, Rodriguez complied instantly, hands visible, recognizing the jurisdictional shift. Officer Chen followed her lead, his academy training finally clicking into place. Only Mitchell remained frozen, still holding her business card like evidence of a crime that no longer existed. Officer Mitchell, Simone continued, you have 2 minutes to decide how this ends. Compliance or federal investigation. News helicopters circled overhead. Channel 11's reporter provided breathless commentary. Stunning development on Highway 400. The woman detained by police has revealed herself as an FBI agent. We're witnessing what could become a major federal civil rights case. Mrs. Patterson filmed from her subdivision, hands shaking with vindication. 37 years of teaching had shown her enough injustice to recognize justice when it finally arrived. The crowd of witnesses had tripled. Parents collected children from the school bus. Teenagers abandoned video games for real-life drama. Store employees left work to film. The scene resembled a major crime investigation. Maria Santos adjusted her phone battery pack, preparing for extended coverage. Her follower count had exploded from 3,000 to 75,000 in 20 minutes. Major networks were already reaching out for licensing rights to her footage. The hidden final secret emerges. Simone's encrypted phone displayed 17 missed calls from DOJ Priority, Department of Justice. Her absence from the Treasury briefing had triggered protocols Mitchell couldn't imagine. She answered the 18th call. Agent Washington speaking. Simone, where the hell are you? Deputy Director Chen's voice carried across the speaker. Treasury's waiting. We've got senators asking questions about the financial crimes briefing. Detained by local law enforcement, sir. Unlawful stop based on racial profiling. Currently resolving federal jurisdiction issues. A pause. Then, Jesus Christ. How many officers? 3. Supervisor present. Incident fully documented by multiple sources. Stay put. I'm calling the FBI Civil Rights Division immediately. No one moves until federal response arrives. The call ended. Mitchell finally understood. This wasn't just an FBI agent. This was a federal agent late for a congressional briefing, the kind of agent who briefed senators, the kind whose unlawful detention triggered phone calls from the Department of Justice. Rodriguez stepped further back, creating distance from the disaster. 22 years of clean service, destroyed by one officer's prejudice. Her pension was secure, but her reputation was finished. Witnesses document the power shift. Maria Santos provided play-by-play commentary to her massive audience. "Y'all, this sister just got a call from the Department of Justice. Department of Justice. Officer Mitchell looking like he saw a ghost." The teenager on bikes had grown to a crowd of 50. Parents arrived to collect children. Commuters abandoned their cars. The scene resembled a concert more than a traffic stop. Channel 5's helicopter joined the aerial coverage. Fox 5 dispatched ground crews. CNN's Atlanta bureau monitored social media feeds. The story was going national in real time. Rodriguez keyed her radio. "Dispatch, requesting immediate supervisor response to Highway 400. Federal agent involved, urgent. Copy Unit 23, Captain Williams en route." But FBI supervisors arrived faster than police captains. Federal jurisdiction trumped local authority. The cavalry was coming, and it wore FBI windbreakers. Local news anchors struggled for professional composure. This is developing into the most documented civil rights incident in Georgia's recent history. Social media engagement has reached unprecedented levels. Real-time Twitter analytics showed #FBI agent mentioned 500,000 times in the past hour. International news agencies picked up the live stream. The story was becoming global. Mitchell's desperation peaks. "This is bullshit," Mitchell exploded, his composure finally cracking. "Black women don't work for the FBI. Not in financial crimes, not briefing senators." The crowd gasped. Phones captured every word. The live stream audience hit 300,000 viewers. Rodriguez grabbed Mitchell's arm. "Derek, shut up, now!" But damage was done. Explicit racial bias, documented by dozens of cameras, witnessed by hundreds of people, streamed to hundreds of thousands online. Simone photographed everything with clinical precision. Each outburst, each gesture, each witness. Her FBI training and evidence collection was finally useful in ways Quantico never anticipated. Officer Chen's body camera captured Mitchell's meltdown in high definition. The footage would be played in federal court, analyzed by civil rights lawyers, studied in police academies as an example of what never to do. The federal cavalry arrives. 2 black SUVs approached with emergency lights flashing. FBI windbreakers emerged from both vehicles. Supervisory Agent Martinez led 4 federal agents toward the scene. Mitchell watched his career die in real time. The local news anchor struggled for words. "We're witnessing unprecedented scenes on Highway 400. FBI agents have arrived to investigate the detention of their colleague. This appears to be escalating into a major federal incident." Officer Chen stepped away from Mitchell, distancing himself from the disaster. His body camera had recorded everything. His testimony would be crucial. Rodriguez faced the approaching federal agents with resignation. 22 years of service, potentially destroyed by one officer's prejudice. FBI agents established a perimeter with professional efficiency. Crime scene tape. Evidence markers. Federal jurisdiction declared. Local police became subjects of investigation rather than investigators. The moment of federal authority. "I'm Supervisory Agent Martinez, FBI," the lead federal agent announced. "Which officers detained Agent Washington?" All eyes turned to Mitchell. Simone provided precise documentation. Officer Mitchell, badge 1947, initiated unlawful stop based on racial profiling. Sergeant Rodriguez arrived as backup. Officer Chen documented via body camera. Martinez examined the scene with federal authority. Multiple witnesses. National media coverage. Civil rights violations captured in high definition. "Officer Mitchell, you're under federal investigation for violation of civil rights under color of law. Anything you say can be used against you in federal court." The Instagram live chat exploded. "Miranda rights! Federal arrest! Justice!" Mitchell's legs nearly buckled. Federal courts meant federal prison. Civil rights violations carried mandatory minimums. Agent Martinez's team began collecting evidence with federal precision. Witness statements, video footage, digital evidence, social media documentation. The investigation was comprehensive, immediate, unstoppable. The power reveal completes. Simone's phone rang again. This time, the caller ID read, "Senator Jackson, Judiciary." She answered on speaker. "Agent Washington, are you safe? Justice Department briefed me on your situation." "Yes, Senator. Federal agents have responded. Local detention resolved." "Good. Treasury Committee needs your financial crimes briefing immediately. National security implications." The call ended. Mitchell stared in absolute defeat. An FBI agent who briefed Senate committees, who worked national security cases, who had the Department of Justice on speed dial. Everything he'd assumed was wrong. Everything he'd said was recorded. Everything he'd done was witnessed. The federal investigation was just beginning. Social media erupts globally. Hat FBI agent reached #1 trending worldwide. International news picked up the feed. Civil rights organizations issued statements. Legal experts provided analysis on live television. The teenager who'd stopped to film found himself with 50,000 new followers. Mrs. Patterson's kitchen window footage was shared by celebrities. Maria Santos's Instagram Live became the most-watched stream in platform history. BBC News ran breaking coverage. Al Jazeera interviewed civil rights experts. International outlets analyzed American police accountability. The local traffic stop had become global news. The jurisdictional reality sets in. "Agent Washington," Martinez said formally, "are you requesting federal civil rights investigation into this incident?" Simone looked at Mitchell, then at the hundreds of witnesses, then at the millions watching online. "Yes, full investigation. Pattern and practice review of this department. Federal oversight of all future incidents." Rodriguez closed her eyes. Pattern and practice investigations meant federal takeover. Every arrest reviewed, every policy changed, every officer retrained. Mitchell had destroyed more than his own career. He'd brought federal oversight to an entire police department. The quiet black woman he'd mocked for driving too boldly had just triggered the largest federal civil rights investigation in Georgia's recent history. FBI agent Collins began documenting the crime scene with federal precision. Evidence markers, measurement tools, digital photography. Every detail would be analyzed by federal prosecutors. The twist completes its devastation. As FBI agents took control of the scene, as news helicopters circled overhead, as the world watched on social media, one truth became crystal clear. Dr. Simone Washington hadn't just been driving to work. She'd been driving to brief senators on financial crimes that threatened national security. The Treasury Department meeting Mitchell had disrupted involved banking regulations that protected the entire American economy. He hadn't just stopped a black woman with a nice car. He'd unlawfully detained a federal agent whose work protected the financial stability of the United States. The woman he'd assumed was nothing had just proven she was everything he'd never imagined possible. And everyone was watching. Agent Martinez approached Mitchell with federal authority that transcended local police hierarchies. "Officer, federal jurisdiction is now established. Your department will cooperate fully with our investigation." The power had shifted completely, irreversibly, publicly. Dr. Simone Washington, FBI Financial Crimes Division, had just demonstrated what quiet power looked like when it finally revealed itself. Mitchell's world would never be the same. Agent Martinez established federal command with surgical precision. The Highway 400 scene transformed from local traffic stop to federal crime scene within minutes. Yellow tape, evidence markers, digital documentation. Officer Mitchell's career was being dissected in real time. "Agent Washington," Martinez said formally, "what specific violations are you alleging?" Simone consulted her encrypted phone, pulling up federal statutes with prosecutorial precision. Her voice carried across the scene, captured by dozens of recording devices. Title 18, Section 242, Deprivation of Rights under Color of Law. Title 42, Section 1983, Civil Action for Deprivation of Rights. Officer Mitchell detained me based solely on racial profiling, violating 4th and 14th Amendment protections. Data-driven confrontation begins. Martinez turned to Mitchell with federal authority. Officer, you understand these are felony charges? Section 242 violations carry up to 10 years federal prison. The live stream audience exploded past 500,000 viewers. Legal experts provided real-time analysis on social media. Civil rights lawyers were already calling the FBI field office. Rodriguez stepped forward, recognizing the jurisdictional reality. 22 years of experience taught her when battles were lost. Agent Martinez, our department will cooperate fully. Officer Mitchell acted independently. But Simone had researched more than individual violations. Her FBI training in systemic analysis revealed patterns Mitchell's supervisors had ignored. Agent Martinez, I'm requesting full pattern and practice investigation. Officer Mitchell has 17 excessive force complaints. Sergeant Rodriguez approved 12 of those incidents without investigation. Corporate stakes escalate. Martinez consulted his federal database through encrypted tablet. Mitchell's complaint history appeared. Excessive force, racial profiling, unlawful searches. 17 complaints in 8 years. 0 disciplinary actions. Jesus Christ, Martinez muttered. 17 complaints? Rodriguez's face went pale. Pattern and practice investigations meant federal oversight of entire departments. Every policy reviewed, every officer retrained, every incident scrutinized by federal monitors. The financial implications were staggering. Federal oversight cost municipalities an average of $500,000 annually. Training programs required $50,000 immediate investment. Legal settlements averaged $2.5 million per incident. Simone continued with prosecutorial precision. Department policy violations include inadequate complaint investigation procedures, insufficient bias training, and failure to implement federal consent decree recommendations from 2019. Legal ammunition deployed. Martinez's team accessed federal databases showing municipal liability trends. Police misconduct insurance costs had increased 340% nationally. Departments under federal oversight faced insurance premium spikes, federal funding reviews, and congressional scrutiny. Agent Washington, what are your specific demands for resolution? Simone had prepared for this moment during 15 minutes of unlawful detention. Her FBI training in negotiation tactics and federal compliance requirements provided a comprehensive framework. 3 immediate requirements: Officer Mitchell's suspension pending federal investigation, department-wide bias training within 30 days, independent review board with community representation. The live stream chat exploded with approval. Civil rights organizations shared the demands across social platforms. Local politicians began issuing statements. Rodriguez calculated the financial impact. Bias training for 200 officers, $50,000. Independent review board, $75,000 annually. Legal fees for federal investigation, $200,000 minimum. Ultimatum structure unfolds. Furthermore, Simone continued, federal monitoring of all future incidents involving minority drivers. Body camera footage preserved for federal review. Quarterly compliance audits by Civil Rights Division. Martinez documented each requirement with federal precision. Pattern and practice investigations weren't requests. They were federal mandates backed by court orders and congressional oversight. Officer Chen's body camera captured every detail. His footage would be evidence in federal court, training material for police academies, and documentation for civil rights prosecutions. Officer Mitchell, Martinez announced, you're being placed under federal investigation. Your department will receive formal notification within 24 hours. Consequences for non-compliance. The corporate showdown escalated beyond individual accountability. Federal oversight meant institutional transformation. Every policy changed, every officer retrained, every incident reviewed by federal monitors. Simone's phone rang. FBI Civil Rights Division. She answered on speaker for maximum impact. Agent Washington, this is Assistant Director Williams. Are you requesting full departmental investigation? Yes, sir. Pattern and practice violations. Systemic failure to address racial profiling. Request immediate federal intervention. The call established federal jurisdiction over the entire police department. Local control was ending. Federal oversight was beginning. Rodriguez understood the implications. Her department would become a federal case study, every decision scrutinized, every policy rewritten, every officer's career dependent on federal compliance. Precise financial impact. Martinez consulted federal databases showing municipal costs for consent decrees. Ferguson, Missouri, $4.2 million annually. Baltimore, Maryland, $6.8 million implementation costs. Cleveland, Ohio, $2.3 million in federal monitor fees. Sergeant Rodriguez, your department has two choices: voluntary compliance agreement or federal lawsuit with mandatory oversight. The financial mathematics were devastating. Voluntary compliance cost $500,000 up front. Federal lawsuits averaged $3.2 million in legal fees. Court-ordered oversight lasted an average of 8 years. Simone provided additional legal pressure. Federal funding review includes $2.8 million in annual grants. COPS program funding, community policing initiatives, all subject to civil rights compliance. Rodriguez's mental calculations showed disaster. Federal funding represented 30% of their operational budget. Losing federal grants would require layoffs, service cuts, and taxpayer bailouts. Power play execution. The scene had transformed completely. Local police officers now awaited federal instructions. FBI agents controlled evidence collection. Federal prosecutors would determine charges. Agent Washington, Martinez said formally, what timeline are you establishing? Immediate suspension of Officer Mitchell. Department policy review within 14 days. Federal compliance audit within 30 days. Community oversight board operational within 60 days. Each deadline carried federal enforcement mechanisms. Non-compliance meant federal court orders. Continued violations meant federal takeover of law enforcement functions. The live stream audience reached 750,000 viewers. International news networks provided live coverage. Congressional offices monitored the situation for potential hearings. Mitchell stood in federal custody without handcuffs. His authority completely evaporated. 8 years of police work destroyed by 15 minutes of recorded prejudice. Corporate financial reality. Rodriguez faced impossible mathematics. Federal compliance or financial destruction. Department transformation or federal takeover. Officer retraining or mass layoffs. Agent Martinez, she said quietly, what specific requirements would satisfy federal oversight? The question represented complete surrender. Local authority was ending. Federal management was beginning. Simone consulted her FBI protocols for institutional reform. Zero-tolerance policy for racial profiling, mandatory bias training every 6 months, community policing initiatives with federal oversight, data transparency on all minority interactions. Each requirement carried financial implications Rodriguez couldn't ignore. Training costs, community programs, federal monitoring fees, technology upgrades for data collection. Institutional transformation begins. Martinez established federal timelines with prosecutorial precision. 14 days for policy review, 30 days for training implementation, 60 days for community oversight establishment, 6 months for federal compliance certification. The corporate showdown was ending with federal victory. Local resistance was impossible. Federal authority was absolute. Officer Chen documented the surrender with his body camera. The footage would become training material for federal enforcement of civil rights law. Simone's encrypted phone displayed messages from FBI headquarters, Department of Justice, and congressional offices. The local incident had become federal precedent. Power play completes. Officer Mitchell, Martinez announced, federal charges are pending prosecutorial review. Your department will receive formal notification of pattern and practice investigation within 24 hours. The live stream captured Mitchell's complete defeat. Federal investigation, criminal charges, career destruction, all documented by millions of witnesses. Rodriguez accepted federal oversight with institutional resignation. Agent Martinez, our department commits to full cooperation with federal requirements. The corporate showdown had ended with complete federal control. Local police authority was suspended, federal oversight was established. Institutional racism would be systematically dismantled. Resolution framework established. Simone's federal authority had transformed a traffic stop into institutional reform. One woman's quiet power had triggered systemic change across an entire police department. Agent Washington, Martinez said formally, federal investigation is now active. Your complaint has initiated pattern and practice review of this entire department. The corporate showdown was complete. Federal power had defeated local prejudice. Institutional change was beginning. The quiet black woman Mitchell had mocked was reshaping law enforcement policy. Social media exploded with vindication. Federal takeover. Justice served. Systemic change. Dr. Simone Washington, FBI Financial Crimes Division, had just demonstrated how federal authority could dismantle institutional racism through legal precision and quiet power. The corporate showdown was over. Federal justice had won. Part 6. Resolution and Reform. 800 words. Immediate fallout cascades through the system. Within 6 hours of the Highway 400 incident, Officer Derek Mitchell was suspended without pay pending federal investigation. His badge, weapon, and credentials were confiscated by Internal Affairs under FBI supervision. 8 years of police authority ended with a single federal phone call. Sergeant Rodriguez faced mandatory reassignment to desk duty. Her 22-year career survived, but her supervisory role was finished. Federal oversight required new leadership untainted by the pattern and practice violations Agent Washington had documented. Police Chief David Thompson called an emergency press conference at 8 p.m. National news cameras captured his announcement. Effective immediately, our department will implement comprehensive reforms in cooperation with federal authorities. Systemic changes implemented with federal precision. The respectful engagement protocol became departmental policy within 14 days. Every traffic stop required documented justification. Every detention needed supervisory approval. Every complaint triggered automatic review. Federal funding of $75,000 was allocated for mandatory bias training. Dr. Jennifer Martinez, a Harvard specialist in implicit bias, designed the curriculum. Every officer would complete 40 hours of training within 90 days. Community oversight became reality through the Citizens Police Review Board. 7 members, 3 appointed by the mayor, 2 by civil rights organizations, 2 by federal monitors. Real authority to investigate complaints, recommend discipline, and mandate policy changes. Concrete reforms reshape daily operations. Body camera footage preservation extended from 30 days to 5 years under federal requirements. Every interaction with minority drivers required complete documentation. Footage gaps triggered automatic investigation. The Community Liaison Office opened with a $50,000 federal grant. Citizens could report bias incidents through mobile app, website, or walk-in appointments. Response time, 72 hours maximum. Quarterly compliance audits began immediately. FBI Civil Rights Division monitors reviewed complaint data, arrest statistics, and community feedback. Non-compliance meant federal court intervention. Intellectual victory over institutional prejudice. Agent Washington attended the Treasury Department briefing 3 hours late. Her financial crimes presentation received standing ovation from Senate staffers who'd watched the live stream. Federal banking regulations passed committee vote unanimously. Senator Jackson referenced the Highway 400 incident during floor debate. When we protect federal agents from local prejudice, we protect the financial systems they safeguard for every American family. The intellectual approach, documentation over confrontation, legal precision over emotional response, became a model for civil rights enforcement nationwide. Personal resolution demonstrates quiet power. Simone received FBI commendation for exemplary conduct under unlawful detention. Her calm professionalism during the incident became required viewing at Quantico Training Academy. Speaking engagement requests flooded her FBI email. Howard University Law School, Congressional Black Caucus, National Bar Association. Her story became inspiration for young black professionals entering federal service. The Treasury presentation she'd been driving to resulted in new banking regulations protecting $2.3 trillion in consumer deposits. Mitchell's prejudice had nearly derailed financial protection for millions of Americans. Public impact creates lasting change. The viral video reached 3.2 million views within 48 hours. International news coverage prompted similar investigations in 12 other states. Federal pattern and practice reviews increased 340% nationwide. Police Academy curricula nationwide incorporated Washington Protocol, federal jurisdiction awareness, civil rights compliance, and bias recognition training. Her case became mandatory study material. Community policing discussions reached congressional level. Federal funding for bias training increased from $12 million to $47 million annually. Local departments competed for federal grants requiring Washington Protocol implementation. Long-term monitoring ensures compliance. Federal monitors established permanent office in the municipal building. Monthly compliance reports went directly to FBI Civil Rights Division. Public transparency through quarterly community meetings. Officer rotation policies prevented complaint pattern development. No officer could patrol the same community sector for more than 18 months without bias training recertification. Data transparency requirements published quarterly statistics online, traffic stops by race, complaint resolution timelines, and disciplinary action outcomes. Community oversight with federal backing. Model program expands statewide. Governor Sarah Williams visited the department 6 months later. Federal oversight had reduced complaint rates by 67%. Community trust surveys showed 43% improvement. Crime reporting increased 28% as community cooperation improved. The Washington Protocol represents the future of American policing, Governor Williams announced. Federal standards with local implementation. State funding supported Washington Protocol expansion to all Georgia departments. Federal grants incentivized voluntary adoption nationwide. Simone's quiet power had triggered institutional transformation beyond her own case. Community healing over personal vindication. Officer Mitchell pled guilty to federal civil rights violations. Sentence: 18 months federal prison, 5 years probation, permanent law enforcement ban. His prejudice carried consequences he'd never imagined. But Simone focused on systematic change rather than individual punishment. Justice means preventing future incidents, not just punishing past ones, she told the Congressional Black Caucus. The community policing model developed from her case became national standard. Federal oversight with local cooperation. Community involvement with professional accountability. Intellectual solutions for institutional problems. Dr. Simone Washington had transformed personal injustice into systematic reform. Her quiet power, documentation, legal precision, federal authority, had dismantled institutional racism through the justice system rather than despite it. The Highway 400 incident ended with more than vindication. It ended with transformation. Values triumph through strategic intelligence. 6 months after Highway 400, Dr. Simone Washington stood before the National Association of Federal Agents, delivering the keynote address that would define her legacy. Her voice carried the same quiet authority that had transformed a traffic stop into federal policy. Intelligence defeats ignorance, she told the audience of 2,000 federal agents. Documentation creates accountability. Professional competence speaks louder than confrontation. Every witness has power to demand justice. These real-life stories demonstrate how Black voices speak truth to power through systematic change rather than individual revenge. Her approach, Legal precision over emotional response had become the Washington doctrine in federal law enforcement circles. Personal legacy inspires generational change. Young black professionals flooded FBI recruitment centers nationwide. Applications for Financial Crimes Division increased 340%. Her story became required reading at federal academies, law schools, and civil rights organizations. Touching stories like hers prove that quiet power can reshape institutions. 23 police departments voluntarily adopted Washington Protocol. Federal oversight became partnership rather than punishment when departments embraced reform proactively. She showed us that brilliance is our best weapon, testified recent FBI graduate Keisha Johnson. Not anger, not confrontation, just undeniable competence and federal authority. Social impact creates measurable progress. Life stories of systematic change inspired congressional action. The Washington Act provided $200 million federal funding for bias training nationwide. Police accountability became bipartisan priority for the first time in decades. Federal monitoring expanded to 47 departments across 23 states. Complaint rates dropped 52% nationally. Community trust in law enforcement improved in every jurisdiction implementing Washington Protocol. International observers studied her case for global police reform initiatives. The European Union invited her to address their law enforcement summit. Her quiet revolution had become worldwide inspiration. Community transformation through institutional reform. The Highway 400 corridor now features the Dr. Simone Washington Federal Accountability Memorial. Not for her, but for the principle she represented. Every citizen has federal protection from local prejudice. Mitchell serves his federal sentence in minimum security prison, teaching literacy to fellow inmates. Even his punishment became rehabilitation rather than mere retribution. The system focused on preventing future incidents rather than just punishing past ones. Rodriguez completed bias training and returned to patrol duty under federal oversight. Second chances with accountability. Reform with consequences. The enduring power of documented truth. Black stories matter because they become everyone's story when justice prevails. Social media documentation had triggered federal investigation. Civilian videos had enabled systematic reform. Technology in service of truth had defeated institutional prejudice. Every phone becomes a federal courtroom when citizens document injustice. Every live stream creates accountability when witnesses refuse silence. Every video upload demands systematic change when communities unite for reform. Call to action for continued progress. Share your experiences with bias in the comments below. Document injustice when you see it. Your phone is a federal weapon against institutional racism. Subscribe to Black Voices Speak for more touching stories of quiet power overcoming systematic prejudice. Real-life stories like Dr. Washington's prove that individual courage can create institutional change. Federal authority exists to protect every citizen from local prejudice. Your voice matters when combined with legal precision and systematic documentation. Together, we create change through knowledge, not anger. Through documentation, not confrontation. Through federal law, not local bias. Life stories become black stories, become everyone's stories when justice finally speaks louder than prejudice. Subscribe. Document. Demand accountability. Black Voices Speak continues the conversation that transforms communities through federal protection of individual dignity. Your story could be next.